When a velvet worm tangles with a harvestman, it's all-out chemical warfare. On the moist forest floor, an ancient hunter stalks its prey, as it's done for 500 million years. The velvet worm is an all-terrain terror, flowing across uneven ground on hydraulic legs. Each one is tipped with a retractable claw for better grip. Tiny bumps on the body, called papillae, repel water, keeping the worm dry as it navigates its wet, humid world.
Each of the wart-like bumps on its body has a bristle at the tip that acts as a mechanoreceptive sensor. What this means is that the velvet worm is constantly monitoring its environment with its skin.
It looks harmless enough, but the only soft thing about the velvet worm is its name.
They're voracious predators. Velvet worms can grow up to 4 inches, and they can capture animals right up to their own size. This puts a very large amount of different creatures on their menu list.
With a top speed of less than 2 inches per second, it's not able to chase down a meal. But who needs speed when you possess one of the bug world's strangest and most effective long-range weapons? On either side of its head, modified legs called oral tubes fire twin jets of viscous slime. Caught in the sticky blast, the target is immobilized by biological glue.
This slime straitjacket is about 90% water. But as the water evaporates, proteins in the slime start to tangle and form tight chemical bonds. This becomes stringier, stickier, and harder by the second. This is such a cunning natural design.
The velvet worm isn't the only wily fighter in the forest. The Harvestman also has a few tricks up its very long sleeves.
You'd think to look at a Harvestman that it's a spider, but these guys aren't spiders at all. They don't have venom, they don't have a sting, they don't produce silk. Harvestmen are pretty much characterized by legs.
Those long limbs give it critical clearance in a close fight. And its spiky exoskeleton makes it a tough foe to tackle. And when it comes to victims, the Harvestman isn't fussy. Spiked feelers called pedipalps grab and hold the prey, while claw-like mouthparts rip and tear at the flesh. And when under attack, the Harvestman wields its own chemical weapon.
The way many Harvestmen defend themselves is with stinky glandular secretions that can spray or ooze onto the predator.
When these chemical combatants collide, it's stealth and stickiness versus stench on stilts. In the Central American rainforest, a velvet worm hunts for prey. Close by, a long-legged Harvestman is also prowling for food. Neither will back down. The velvet worm has slime guns and razor-sharp mouthparts. The Harvestman boasts claw-like mandibles and a foul defensive spray. Which one will live to fight another day?
This contest is between two very different approaches to survival. Strong offense versus strong defense, heavy weapons versus heavy armor.
With the worm in its sights, the harvestman moves in for the kill.
I think the Harvestman has lots and lots of advantages, but it's got to get in close.
But it's too close. The worm gives it both barrels at point-blank range. The harvestman struggles, but thrashing only tightens its slimy bonds. It's the glue from hell.
Now that's what I call chemical warfare. It may go everywhere. Half of it may miss the target, but wow. That is a prey capture technique that's impossible to upstage and very difficult to escape.
The harvestman is in serious trouble.
All it can do at this point is back off and see if it can groom the glue off. But it's nasty.
With its victim pinned and defenseless, the velvet worm switches to safecracker mode, looking for a way into its meal. Like hellish cookie cutters, the powerful mandibles start sawing through the harvestman's armor. Eventually, the worm injects its toxic saliva.
The saliva that the velvet worm is injecting contains mucus and also hydrolytic digestive enzymes that are pre-digesting the food outside of its body, so all it has to do now is sit back and suck it up.
Things don't always turn out the way you'd expect in the bug realm. You can have all the weapons in the world, but slow and sticky often wins the race. When a horned katydid and an owl butterfly caterpillar lock horns, there's no happily ever after. The jungle underworld is full of bizarre beasts. With its forked tail, spiked back, and hairy horns, the owl butterfly caterpillar is like a mythical creature.
It just looks like some kind of weird snake or slug, and its entire existence revolves around one thing: eating, and eating a lot.
While gorging on leaves, it must avoid becoming a banquet for something else. Its main defense is its terrifying appearance.
If a predator comes along, he'll do everything he can to look more like a viper than a caterpillar. Puff himself up, act strangely, pull threatening poses, even swipe with his horns.
The horns are hard and can be used like antlers in battle. And the owl butterfly caterpillar's mandibles can do more than mulch.
Push comes to shove, he will use them to try to fend off an aggressor.
The owl butterfly caterpillar isn't the only horned beast on the prowl. With its distinctive crowning glory, the horned katydid resembles the fabled unicorn.
The horned katydids have this weird projection coming out just behind their eyes. They may look cute, but these are predatory katydids.
The horned katydid is a ruthless assassin, able to hide in plain sight.
Often they'll look like just this perfect green leaf. Even the veins in their wings look like the veins in a leaf. Potential prey may be walking along and they don't notice that this leaf, in fact, is a predator, and that's to their peril.
The horn is there to intimidate. But the real danger are these mandibles. sharp enough to skewer heavily armored opponents. Then spiked legs, vicious enough to rip through a predatory bat's wings. It's a foe that's as lethal as it is mean.
They're serious predators that attack animals and eat them alive. These spiny forelegs are used kind of like a cage. The spines keep the prey close to the katydid, and then it's able to bite it and tear it into pieces.
This killer doesn't wait for its prey to die. It's just meat and eat. But what happens when the katydid locks horns with the owl butterfly caterpillar? It's the dead of night in the jungle. A horned katydid is looking for fresh meat. On a nearby reef, an owl butterfly caterpillar is also out to feed. The katydid's antennae lock on. It will attack with bolt cutter mouthparts and thorny limbs. The owl butterfly caterpillar will retaliate with its spiked horns and bristling tail. Who will inflict the mortal blow? The two opponents go head-to-head. The owl butterfly caterpillar tries to psych out its opponent with a bizarre defensive dance. The katydid is momentarily stunned. It wasn't expecting a show.
The whole point of wiggling about like a snake is to send out a fake but believable signal that I'm toxic, I will bite you, leave me alone.
The katydid cuts the caterpillar's performance short with a surgical strike. Bravely, the caterpillar tries to twist free. It lashes with its forked tail, desperately trying to get in a bite. Soft tissue splits like the skin of a sausage, spilling the remains of the caterpillar's last meal. This big bad bug never eats its greens.
Often what they'll do is they'll pull the guts out to avoid the nasty chemicals that are in the plant that the caterpillar ate, and they're able to eat the relatively succulent caterpillar itself.
Even disemboweled, the caterpillar tries to bite its attacker. In the end, the owl butterfly caterpillar achieves a sort of metamorphosis. A gruesome transformation from potential butterfly to unrecognizable meat. When a vinegaroon and a striped-tailed centipede come to the surface, all hell will break loose. The rainforest is riddled with entrances to the underworld. From one dark gash, like some mythical monster, comes a striped-tailed centipede. Every night, it leaves its subterranean lair on a mission to murder. a hyperactive hunter plowing through the forest on 22 pairs of legs.
You'd think that they'd be getting tripped up all the time, but with each one longer than the previous, they never get tangled.
The centipede's speed and mobility are even more impressive when you realize it's almost blind. Its antennae act like all-seeing eyes. Beneath the antennae, on either side of the head, the main strike weapons, 2 modified legs have become venom claws that deliver a toxic shock. Perched high on a leaf, a grasshopper thinks it's out of harm's way. But the striped-tailed express is hot on its chemical trail and severs a hind leg.
Now that's poor defense. The grasshopper really should have jumped clear while it had a chance, because now when the centipede comes back, it's not going to have a leg to stand on.
The venom claws now serve as silverware, pulling soft flesh from the exoskeleton. Like a discerning diner ripping meat from a lobster tail. Nearby, another denizen of the dark emerges, hungry for blood. With its heavy armor and creeping crab-like wall, the vinegaroon is a primeval nightmare.
Vinegaroons are like B-grade movie idols. I mean, they're just really scary, monster-looking animals.
Massive pedipalps, ending in crude pincers, grab prey in a merciless embrace, then crush it against serrated armor plates. Like all arachnids, the vinegaroon has 8 legs, but only 6 are used for walking. The first 2 are sensors that the vinegaroon taps around like a blind person's cane. Its heavy armor is enough to deter most predators. If that doesn't work, the vinegaroon mounts a reeking rearguard action.
They've got a gland at the base of their tail that is capable of spraying what's essentially vinegar as much as 3 feet away. They're able to move their tail around, aim it toward the predator, and then spray this mix of acetic acid and caprylic acid. It breaks down an invertebrate's exoskeleton.
But will the vinegaroon's heavy weapons be enough to defeat the striped-tailed centipede when it attacks head-on? In the dead of night, the rainforest is haunted by underworld demons. A voracious, striped-tailed centipede follows a trail to its next meal. Meanwhile, a vinegaroon waits for its dinner to arrive. The centipede attacks with spiny feet and razor-sharp venom claws. The vinegaroon wields giant club-like pedipalps, spiked pincers, and serrated plates. Who'll survive the battle of the night terrors? The centipede charges in like a hungry locomotive. But the vinegaroon grabs first. The centipede lashes its body around. Venom claws looking for a way in.
The centipede is tough, but this vinegaroon has it in a really, really tight grip in the pedipalps. It's almost like being caught in a nutcracker.
Oh, that's gotta hurt. Even if the centipede manages to get away, he's going to have a terminal headache, and I don't think he's going to get very far.
The centipede's legs kick feebly as claw-like chelicerae tear into its neck, almost severing the head. Regurgitated digestive juices flood the wound, transforming solid flesh into centipede soup.
So it seems that the old adage of live by the sword, die by the sword is just as applicable to the bug world as anywhere else.
The vinegaroon savors its victory, ferrying its dead foe back to the underworld to feast in peace. When a geophyllid centipede grapples with a Costa Rican cellar spider, it's silky skills versus straight-up savagery. The rainforests of Central America are rife with skilled killers. But when it comes to speed and aggression, the geophyllid centipede is in a class of its own.
If you shrunk a freight train down to just a few inches and gave it 152 legs and a hyperactive and aggressive attitude and a pair of venom claws, you would end up with a geophyllid centipede. The only thing guaranteed to slow this guy down is death.
Swift and sure-footed, as flexible as a yoga master, this restless hunter can handle not just rough terrain, but in some cases, no terrain, flowing across crevices like its own rope bridge on 76 pairs of legs. Each body segment is protected top and bottom by armored plates. At the rear, a pair of anal legs mimics the centipede's antennae, so predators aren't sure which is the dangerous end. When it tracks down prey, those legs become multiple weapons of war.
The instant he makes contact with the prey, he wraps as many legs around it as he can and just ties it up. Each one of these legs is tipped with a very sharp claw, so this is like trying to wrestle a snake that's inside of a barbed wire suit.
With the victim pinned, the centipede puts its venom claws to work, injecting a lethal chemical brew.
Most centipede venoms contain a chemical called 5-hydroxytryptamine, which is the neurotransmitter that we call serotonin. This not only produces pain in the prey, but also increases the absorption of other toxins that break down the cell walls and the tissue.
What the venom doesn't do, the vicious claws finish off. The centipede starts tunneling through the katydid and devours its victim from the inside, right up to the eyeballs. All that's left is a shell, discarded like an empty glove. Nearby, another ruthless hunter is setting her trap. Looking delicate, even frail, the Costa Rican cellar spider is deceptively deadly.
Cellar spiders look so delicate, but actually they're really quite tough predators.
For this web warrior, being neat isn't a high priority.
The cellar spiders build a fairly messy web. They hang upside down in this web, and then they may have lines going down to the ground that are relatively sticky.
When a bug blunders into her gossamer curtain, those extra-long, thin legs start throwing silk thread in a rapid-fire frenzy of wrapping.
When the cellar spider wraps its prey, it isn't putting out big swaths of silk the way some of the other spiders do. They're essentially just putting out a single line, but they do it extraordinarily fast, and so they can really wrap up and do it fast.
But the female cellar spider is about to receive another visitor. The geophyllid centipede is on its way. What happens when the silk stalker is struck by a runaway train?
Anyone who thinks cellar spiders are harmless doesn't know they're spiders. The centipede could be hog-tied in an instant, and then the only way he could break free would be brute force.
In a Central American rainforest, a hungry Costa Rican cellar spider is desperate to feed. A geophyllid centipede is a potential smorgasbord, but it could also make a meal of her. The cellar spider smothers her enemy with silk before delivering a venomous bite. The geophyllid centipede uses claw-tipped legs to grip its foe, and venom claws to inject a toxic chemical cocktail. With customary bravado, the centipede hurtles onto the web.
That many feet, the odds of getting tangled up are enormous. If he doesn't break free quickly, the web owner will come down and scope him out.
The cellar spider reacts instantly, lassoing the intruder with strand after strand of sticky silk.
The first thing the centipede would normally do when being overwhelmed by a threat is head for the nearest crevice at high speed. But that's clearly impossible to do when you're being wound up with thread after thread of super sticky spider silk.
The trapped centipede lashes about like a demented garden hose, trying to score a direct hit with its deadly venom claws. But the spider is always just out of range.
This is where silk wrapping with these incredibly long legs comes in handy. She cannot get too close to that centipede. The way she is wrapping is amazing. Look at how fast this is.
The cellar spider goes into overdrive. Her legs are a blur as she throws silk at a rate of 6 loops per second. But the centipede is just as quick to break the ties that bind.
This is an epic fight back. If he can get those venom claws into the spider, just one bite would be enough to turn this fight upside down.
The spider sneaks in several bites, but her venom is relatively weak and slow-acting. But eventually, with her victim's head pinned and its body twisted like a pretzel, the spider seems to have won. But like a horror movie monster, the centipede suddenly breaks free once more.
This is amazingly risky business with this centipede getting its head free all of the time. She's putting out an enormous amount of silk. At some point, she's going to run out of the silk that she has available.
Her silk stores are used up. The spider is throwing thin air, and the centipede's head is still free. In desperation, she dispenses her few remaining drops of venom.
The centipede may have finally succumbed, but talk about combat endurance. He made the spider use every last inch of its silk, every last drop of its venom, and every last bit of its energy. He won't be remembered as a wimp.
It's been an epic battle. Now, the epic feast. The cellar spider spews digestive juices into the centipede's body and sucks up the liquefied flesh.
Okay, I know it's dead, but I wouldn't be surprised to see this centipede spring back into action one last time.